So today, really excited to bring you a practical tool for you to actually build some greater self-awareness and understanding of yourself, and so you can improve every day in whatever you love to do in and outside the gym. So I have talked before, and we get really deep about stuff, about how we can use the gym to explore ourselves and fitness-related pursuits. So I find that in the gym we have patterns, and I don't mean just movement patterns, I mean emotional patterns, thought patterns, patterns of being and how we interact with our environment that is going to be paralleled and projected out into other areas of our life. So it might be for your struggles with nutrition may show up in relationships outside the gym. Your fear or how you may approach something that's very difficult or challenging in the gym may show up in your career, and how you deal with, hey, you've got this big presentation to do and it's you have to speak in front of people, and these are all opportunities to develop and within a safe place understand how to improve our abilities outside and inside the gym. So first of all, we need to establish our patterns and we need to build that awareness, and in order to do that we need to have some steady practices. For a week minimum, you're going to be doing some journaling and you're going to be having some different cues set up so that you remind yourself to be aware of what was going on. It's really hard initially because we're engaged in what we normally do. We don't actually have that observational piece to see our thoughts, our habits, etc. So when I mean journal, it doesn't have to be crazy. It should just kind of flow into what you already have at the gym. You should have some sort of training journal. And instead of like after your set just going through like, hey, I did 5 pounds more on my back squat, you could say, hey, on this set I did 120 pounds and I noticed I was thinking about this. Pretty simple. That will start to give you an idea. At the end of each day you can have a separate page where you're just going to start to list out what your patterns, your habits that you start to think of. And those might be like, hey, I think I'm not good enough when I do this. I get scared when I do this. I'm pretty badass when I do this. I have a great mindset when I'm doing this. All good and bad things. So you'll start to list those out. So along with the journal, we're going to need some other cues. One I do recommend is if you go to the gym at 4:30, you set an alarm, and not something that's going to distract the whole gym, but an alarm that goes off while you're at the gym. If you've got like a Fitbit or Apple Watch, you could probably just have a vibration there. That will also trigger you during your workout to think about that. Another alarm cue is actually just going and talking to your coaches. You can say, hey, Jim, I really appreciate it if you just said at this time reminded me or asked me what I was thinking about and how I was approaching this stuff. A lot of times coaches are already doing this. When you put it on the radar, it makes it easier for you to kind of just do that reflection piece. So pretty simple. Once you've got kind of that reminder cue and you start to gather data, you'll write it out in your journal, and then you'll have that free page where you'll write down all the different ones you have, and you'll have a list. And if it repeats, then you just put a tally next to it. But next to each of those patterns, you're going to then label them. And for you might be like, here's the pattern, positive, negative, or neutral on this side. How many times a tally on the right side? So positive is not just like good or bad. We're looking for, does it positively increase your growth or your growth potential? Negative, does it decrease your potential for growth? And then neutral, is it neither? So pretty simple there. Don't get really into it, but that's where we're going to start. And this is not just going to happen during exercise. This is going to happen in between your rest periods. When you first step into the gym, when you're putting your gear on, getting ready for your set, maybe that nervous pee before you start a workout. All those little things. There's a lot of different times and places for that. It might be when you're setting up to make food. Those are all fitness-related endeavors, and they're all opportunities. So hopefully with this alone, or just this awareness piece, you'll start to understand more about yourself, and that understanding alone can sometimes help us break patterns that aren't useful for us. So I'll check back with you next week. If you have any questions on the drill, it's really simple. You can just leave some comments below, and I'll continue this next week with you guys. So enjoy, keep up the good work.